I would like to thank all of you for coming tonight, and I would like to thank Carlos for organizing the event, and thank Volcom. So my talk tonight is about abundance mindset. So I'll start with a question: when is it enough? I used to be very competitive in the past. I took part in all kinds of competition, trying to win. I'm always trying to earn more money, be better than the next guy all the time. And there's always a dream of having the perfect toys whenever you make a certain amount of money, and then you just feel like I just have to do more. So I felt life was very unfair. Why am I always an underachiever? Success was never attainable. So when my friend drove this Ferrari, I'm like, oh my God, I need to get a car like this. And I tried my best. I worked very hard. I worked 16 hours a day. I tried every single way. I tried to invest money. I read books on investment. I tried to be the best I could be. And I end up being able to lease this car. And I thought it was insane. Like it was a nightmare. I failed. So this was me back in the day where everything was so harsh. And I tried pushing myself further because I if I can get this, I can probably get the other car in a year or two. So I was pretty much driven. But at some point, economic crisis hit, and everything happened at the same time. My dad passed away. I was left with lots and lots of bills, and my company was insolvent. This became a liability. I have to pay lease, and all my toys that I owned were just things that are dragging me down. And of course, when you own toys, you know a lot of people. I tried to approach them and said, can I borrow some money? Because since you guys are, having a lot of money anyway. So I go around and asking these people who can afford it, and none of them wanted to talk to me anymore. And then, I was kind of sad, and I went and told my friends about it. And all my closer friends, they're like, yeah, how much do you need? I need it in a range of $8 million. And my friend's like, here's $10,000 of check. And at that point, I was touched. And it was until you hit a turning point where everything was going well in life, and you just realize that, I had an epiphany. I realized that I was just trying to be the person that I think I should be, but not myself. Because, what's the point of chasing all these materialistic things in the end when something happens, all the friends that you think you have and all the people that you try to relate to don't care about you. So I decided that, so how can I have happiness? I went to look around, and one of my best friends is a Boston police officer. And I find that this guy is constantly happy. And why? He's pulling 16 hours a day in overtime. And when 9/11 happened, and when Katrina happened, he volunteered his time. He took 2 months off. He went down, and he helped everyone. He went there on leave to help direct traffic, to help in causes in Katrina. So I realized that it's not actually having all the toys that make you happy. Because when I look at, let me draw my own Maslow triangle, and at some point, many people just stop at having esteem. Like, if I have a nicer car, I have a nice house, I'm better than you, and I'm happy. But I think it's not really the case. So I realized that being happy is not about how much you earn and not buying nice toys. And buying nice toys doesn't bring you happiness. I've got a friend that earns $50,000 a month, and he tries to save every single cent. He won't buy me a cup of coffee, and it's just hard. I can't get him to do anything. And when I'm like, do you want to go catch a movie? It's like, no, the movie's too expensive. I'll wait for DVD to come out. And you buy it, I'll borrow it from you. So and I find that having that, it's just miserable being around him, and he feels miserable as well. So I'm not sure, where does wealth bring you? So I decided that, why? And there's always this big question of, in Singapore, there's this kiasu concept where everybody is afraid of losing. And, you know, it's very difficult in Singapore uh, because a lot of Singaporeans I know, they have an idea, they keep it for themselves. And they're afraid of sharing, and they'll keep it for later, and in the end, nothing comes out. When I look at, a lot of my friends who are successful bloggers, whenever they see a good idea, they share it. They blog about it, they meet people, they talk about it. They're not afraid of giving out ideas. And what happened to them? They become influencers, they become pioneers of certain things, and become thought leaders. They create a lot of visibility for themselves, and after that, they get a lot more opportunities. So when I start looking at, when you start giving things away, why do these people get a lot more back? And I realized that, there are a lot of people who are rich, and a lot of people who earn a lot of money. So the difference between the wealthy and the poor is not about how much money you have, but the way you talk, the way you act, and the way you think. So, many people want to be wealthy, but how do you be truly wealthy? So, there's basically, I was looking around and, this idea of just give and get more. So back to, by causing yourself to feel abundance, you perpetuate conditions and abundance in your reality. The mind is a very powerful thing. When you think, when you suddenly feel that you have an abundance kind of mindset, you sort of create a reality around that, and then it happens. So the subconscious impression of abundance create conditions of abundance. So if you do things to actually, to create wealth in your life, you must think that you're wealthy, but instead of overspending on things, you spend on things that matters to you, that you truly would appreciate. A good example would be if your friend needs, to loan some money from you, you could easily loan him the $8 million. No, but, and basically, it's by just being able to afford things like buy your friends a cup of coffee, you start to realize that, I've got more than enough. I can buy him a cup of coffee, so I could do certain things. And somehow by this kind of thinking, you open up your mind to a lot more opportunities, because a lot of things that you were afraid of doing, suddenly you start, picking up opportunities like that because you're no longer afraid. So after failing a lot of times, after my first fail, I decided that, it's okay to fail, because as long as you can get back up again, it's fine. And, lack will lead to fear will lead to envy, and envy will lead to suffering. So when you live a life of lack, you constantly feel that, and this applies to time as well. I've got a lot of people who are trying to do a lot of things, and they are always hurrying around, and they have this mentality of lacking time. And when I see them going up, in Singapore, getting up a bus, and when they're getting down, they're trying to tap the card when someone else is tapping, and what happens is the machine just beeps a lot more and nothing happens. So a lot of times when you're just trying to get more time out of certain things, how much can you save? 1 or 2 seconds, what can it do? And you're actually spending more time. That's just a little example, but a lot of times when you're having this mindset of having lack in a certain aspect, it actually happens. It becomes a reality for you. So how do you have, how do you build up a wealth kind of mindset? How do you actually perpetuate it? So this principle actually, I was reading around and finding something really zen that works. So I read this thing called Give Before Receiving. So it's basically just simple tips to help you get a wealth kind of mentality. So if you lack time, volunteer. If you find that you can actually spend some time to volunteer on small projects, and if you can spend maybe 1 hour a week or 2 hours a month doing something to help someone else, you find that you might be able to have more time doing other things, and you are no longer, a time vampire anymore. If you lack money, give some away. It's not, you can always spend it on your friends, spending on things that really matter to you, that makes you happy. And after that, you realize that, you don't really need that nicest Ferrari anymore. You can get by with public transportation. And then you realize that, hey, I actually have more money to spend because I didn't have that Ferrari. And if you're stuck at a problem, help others in similar situations. This has happened to me a lot of times. When I'm stuck at something, I find who else has similar problems. When I'm trying to help to solve their problems, I either get a good idea to solve my own problem as well, or now I get two people to solve my problems. If you need more love, go and give some love to friends and family. And if you lack confidence, give others a boost. You usually find something back. If you need fresh ideas, start a blog, share ideas, go to networking events, and share your ideas with more people. I'll end with a quote from Wayne Dyer. Abundance is not something that we acquire, it's something that we tune in. Thank you.